Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So this past weekend, we got a little bit of everything from redemption to robberies to exposure, controversy, and progression. But let's start with the redemption. Tim Tszyu, he redeemed himself. He had a successful comeback fighting against Joey Spencer. He stopped Joey Spencer in the 4th round. He made easy work of him. Not only did Tim Tszyu look like himself, but I think it was a great idea that he came right back, as opposed to what a lot of fighters do when they lose, especially when they get knocked out for the first time. They take like a year off. Well, Tim Tszyu, he came right back. And with 154 being such a stacked division, Tim Tszyu, he's right back in position to landing another big fight. Now, obviously, the one guy that he won't be fighting anytime soon is the guy who knocked him out in his very last fight, which is Murtazaliev. And it would be very smart for him to stay away from him, at least for now. Before Tim Tszyu lost to Sebastian Fundora, he was supposed to fight against Keith Thurman. Now that Keith Thurman has returned, I wouldn't be surprised if PBC tries to make that fight next. Which, by the way, Keith Thurman, he looked real good in this comeback fight as well. So I still think Thurman versus Tszyu would be a 50-50 fight. Okay, so now we talk about the robbery of the weekend.
Look, return, but since it is...
Delgado's on stanky legs! And here comes Elvis Rodriguez. Will he be able to do something here in the last 50 seconds of round number 9?
And still undefeated, Lindolfo Delgado.
I thought Elvis Rodriguez did more, but you said early on, who pressed the fight?
There you go.
Who made the fight?
I told you.
Okay, so that was Mexican Olympian Lindolfo Delgado versus Elvis Rodriguez. Delgado, he won a majority decision over Elvis, and you guys heard ESPN's commentator Bernardo Usana say that he thought Elvis Rodriguez won the fight. He said he thought he did more. So let me just start by saying this. Whenever you have Mexican commentator Bernardo Usana saying that he thought the Mexican guy lost, you know it was a robbery. Now, the first 4 rounds were very close. Neither fighter was really landing too many clean punches, and this is when Tim Bradley, he said 9 times out of 10, when it's a close round, the judges, they're going to pick the guy who's coming forward. Well, that's not true. If the guy who's moving backwards or he's using angles, moving side to side, is the one that's landing the majority of the punches in the round. And what Tim said is not the way judges are taught to score a fight. Judges are taught to score a fight based on the boxer who's scoring the most points. That's how it works in every sport. The team that scores the most points, they win the game. And in boxing, just like basketball, there's many different ways of scoring points. You could put up a 2-pointer, you could put up a 3-pointer, a layup, a slam dunk, etc., etc. So like I said, the first 4 rounds were close. But then Elvis, he started to slightly take over. He started to do more, and Delgado, he started to do a lot less. Both fighters are counterpunchers with a lot of power. So they are both very aware that the smallest mistake could end up getting you hurt. Delgado, he was relying on just landing 1 punch at a time. And even Tim Bradley, at this point in the fight, he was clearly saying that Elvis is winning the fight. He's doing more. He's winning this round. He's winning that round. I watched the whole fight and I watched the highlights on Top Rank's channel. If you just watch the highlights alone, it looks like Elvis clearly won the fight. And that's with ESPN's commentary. But because we know that boxing is based on race, nationality, and pride, the same fans that said that Haney versus Lomachenko was a robbery are going to completely justify this decision when it comes to this fight. We know what time it is. So this is a tough break for Elvis Rodriguez, but the good news is we all have eyeballs and we all got to see the fight. Moving on. Controversy of the week. David Adeleo versus Jamie TKV. Adeleo, he gets a knockout win, but it was completely controversial. As you guys can see in this clip right here, Adeleo is holding TKV's left arm. This is when the referee yells break. And when he yells break, TKV, he raises his right arm to basically indicate to the referee that he's trying to break free from Adeleo's lock. And this is exactly when Adeleo hits him with a left hook and knocks him out, or at least he knocks him down. And after that, the fight was pretty much over because he never recovered. I noticed this is something that Adeleo, he does a lot because he did the same thing to Fabio Wardley. He locked him up the exact same way. When the referee told them to break, he caught Fabio with 2 clean hooks, but it wasn't enough to knock out Fabio. Fabio, he would eventually knock out Adeleo in that fight. So at the end of the day, when it comes to this fight, it's still a win for Adeleo. It's just a win with controversy. And it's always going to make fans wonder, would he have been able to knock out TKV without doing it this way? Next up, exposure of the week. The Mexican Tommy Morrison, Richard Torrez Jr., was exposed this week against an Italian opponent by the name of Guido Vianello. Now, this was a slight step up in competition for Richard Torrez, but he was fighting against a guy who had previously been knocked out by an opponent who was 15-6. And when I tell you that this was a slight step up for Richard Torrez, you guys have to remember Richard Torrez was on the same Olympic team as Keyshawn Davis, and today Keyshawn Davis is a world champion. So Richard Torrez is barely taking off the training wheels right now. Now, when Torres was fighting against weaker opposition, I thought he had a chance of competing with the guys in the top 10, the top 5 of the heavyweight division because of the way Torres was knocking those guys out. But now that I've seen him step up and fight this Guido guy, even though Richard Torres, he clearly won this fight, he struggled with his opponent's height and long arms. He found it very hard to land punches consistently on the taller fighter. And what Richard would often do is he would leap in with a hard hook and then he would fall into a clinch. At the beginning, it was the taller fighter who was initiating the clinches, but after he got warned by the referee, then surprisingly, it was Richard Torrez who was initiating the majority of the clinches. When you're the shorter fighter, your whole goal is to close the distance, close that gap so you can work on the inside. So once again, Richard, he would do all the work to get on the inside and then he would clinch. Or he would allow his opponent to clinch. Richard Torrez, he was smothering his own work basically. And then around the 5th round, Guido Vianello, he started to use his jab, and he was very successful at landing clean jabs on Richard. And then the jab had started to set up his right hand, so he started to land right hands on Richard Torrez as well. For those of you guys who don't know, Richard Torrez, he was knocked out clean in the amateurs against Jalilov, Bakadir Jalilov. Now understand this, getting knocked out in the amateurs, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a successful professional career. I mean, after all, Riddick Bowe was knocked out in the amateurs and he became the heavyweight champion. But the problem with Torrez is he's showing the same flaws that he showed when he got knocked out in the amateurs, struggling to deal with tall, lengthy, rangy fighters. Short fighters like a Mike Tyson and Isaac Pitbull Cruz, they know how to use their height as an advantage. Torrez doesn't know how to do that. And Torrez is not just getting hit with clean shots, he's also having a problem landing clean shots against this opponent. So the problem for Richard is there are fighters the same height as Vianello, this guy he just fought, that are way, way, way better than him. I'm talking about the other heavyweight prospects and some of the guys that are just cracking the top 10. After this last performance, I see Richard really struggling against those guys. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, the fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to lodeki.com,
Like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram.